Exactly 2 months ago, I bought these toe spacers, and I said that I was going to wear them every single day for 30 days straight. And I'm not saying that I didn't do it, I'm just saying I've got a lot of other things to do. And for a product like this to work, you need to actually be able to use it. So 30 days ended up taking a little bit more like 60 days. And given that we've all got jobs and families and lives to be living, I'd say a 50% success rate is actually really quite good. The big question though is there enough value from wearing it 50% of the time to actually see any notable change or results? So we've come down to CrossFit Wanderlust in Bali, which is where I've been wearing them most of the time, and I'm going to show you whether or not they are actually worthwhile. But when it comes to the 50% of the time, what I'm trying to do is because of habits of association. When you can take a new habit and then attach it to a pre-existing activity, there's a much higher chance of overall success. And a prime example of this is a coffee shop attached to an office building. They know if they can attach the habit of buying a coffee in the morning with going to work, something that you do every day, the chances of you becoming a repeat customer and going in every single morning on your way to the office becomes much, much, much higher. And that's what I've been trying to utilize with these toe spacers. Of the 7 days of the week, I tend to train 3 to 4 times in each and every week. The rest of the time, I inevitably just forget. But when I come down to the gym, I know that the first thing that I do is put on my toe spacers for the journey down. I complete my workout in them, I wear them during the cool down, and then I've got a good hour, 2 hours of work under my belt. So what I'm gonna try and do now is go in, I'm gonna try and work out, and then I'm gonna give you some talk through points about what I'm experiencing with the toe spacers and what benefit that I felt as I'm working through that. So I've got a nod from the coach to be able to film, but we have to keep it covert. So what we're doing today is something called Olympic weightlifting. It's where I spend, I don't know, 30–40% of my time when it comes to actually weightlifting itself. This movement's called a power clean, big explosive movement. You probably already noticed that I'm wearing shoes. Within the shoes, I've already put the toe spacers, but on this sort of surface, it's essential that you're not lifting barefoot. If a little bit of sweat gets under your foot, especially on this little rubber flooring, your foot's just gonna go right out from underneath you. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna build the weight up over the next 15 minutes. I'm gonna fill you in on the toe spacers as we go. So already up to 80 kilos. First thing to point out is that when I got these toe spacers, almost instantaneously I had to make some modifications to it. They weren't hugely comfortable straight off the box, so I actually ended up cutting off one of the columns and getting rid of a load of material on the back side of the spacer as well. There's actually some really detailed advice on the Correct Toes website about how to do that. They also have a 30-day return policy, so that if you mess it up, or if it doesn't fit quite right, you can return it within 30 days and they'll send you out another pair completely free. So the weight now up to 100 kilos, still warming up to be honest with you, but feeling pretty good. So the reason that I've been wearing the toe spacers specifically for weightlifting is because they force your feet into an outward position, right? They're driving the toes apart, and that gives you a really nice wide base of support. Has it increased my lifts? No, it's not like it's a performance enhancer and my power clean's gone from like 140 to 150 or anything like that. It's just a nicer base of support. You just feel a little bit more stable. They're not, I will admit, the most comfortable things to wear, but there's definitely some perks to it. All right, so that's 120. I've got another 6–7 minutes. The plan is to stay around there, maybe push to 130 for the last. We're feeling pretty good. Again, toe spacers. For in-gym performance, that kind of is the end of the conversation. There's not masses more to discuss. Nice wide base support, increased stability, not going to increase your lifts, but nice to have and sometimes fun to play around with. The big question is whether or not they've structurally changed my feet. That's what we'll look into next. But I'm going to finish off my training session and then we'll go somewhere else to talk about that.
A few moments later.
Managed to finish off the workout. My elbow is causing me a little bit of flack, so I ended up swapping out the snatches at the end for some back squats and handstands. All in though, went really well, and as you would probably have noticed, I was wearing these toe spacers right the way through. Now in the workout I mentioned some modifications that I had to make to the spacers. If you watch the original video when I first got these, they were brand stock new, I hadn't cut anything away. But the modifications that I ended up making, there were 3 of them, 4 of them technically. One of them was to cut away these little pointy bits on the bottom side of each foot. I found that they were actually pushing the toe spacer off the toes when I was working out, which is really distracting. So I ended up cutting those away for a better fit. I also made the same modification on both sides of the toe itself. I made it a little bit shorter just to let it get a little bit further onto the foot. I cut off the 4th column, the one in between the pinky toe and the toe next to it. For me, that was just personal preference. I found that it was quite uncomfortable. It was pushing the pinky toe out too much, and I didn't see the benefit in keeping it, so I lopped that off. But all of these modifications are outlined on the Correct Toes website. They're super straightforward, easy to do, but in terms of the actual benefit of wearing these, I've worn them fairly consistently. As I mentioned at the start of the video, the hardest part is actually forming the habit. I attached the habit of wearing these to coming to the gym. So yes, I didn't wear them for 30 days non-stop, but I've definitely accumulated 30 days in probably the most active positions that you can imagine. I came into this without having any real toe issues. Yes, my toe structurally came in a little bit when I flexed it, but aside from that, I didn't have any bunions, hammer toes, claw toes, anything like that, which these are commonly used to help treat. So with that in mind, because I already have a fairly strong foundation of support, I already have a fairly healthy foot, for me, this wasn't the greatest of investment. I didn't see the biggest benefit. It was nice for stability, nice to play around with, but for the sake of £55, I'll probably just put that money in the bank and then save it up towards my next pair of barefoot shoes instead. For you, you might find some value in it. I've been wearing barefoot shoes for 3 to 4 years. The underside of my foot has already been pummeled. All of those ligaments, tendons, joints are already pretty relaxed. So I was only ever going to get limited benefit from wearing these. If, however, you do have bunions or hammer toes or claw toes, you might find a lot more benefit. If I was still all over again, I probably wouldn't waste my time with them. They're a nice thing to have, but definitely not a need to have. If you do want to get your own though, or if you have any questions about them, make sure you hit me up in the comment section down below. Make sure you sub to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.